Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to Unity Kern County on the 8th day of October 2023. I'm Reverend Chuck, and today's message is about looking at the Jesus Code for living. And of course, as we do each Sunday, we honor that presence of God as we best understand that presence in our life and in our affairs by praying the Charles Fillmore prayer entitled, In the Presence. So, I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge your presence and power, O Blessed Spirit. In your divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from your pure substance of love, bring into manifest my world according to your perfect law. And so it is. Well, what a day. Last week I talked about living our dreams and not somebody else's. So this week I'd like to take a moment and talk about and look at the Jesus Code for living. Although the code, of course, is very simple to understand, it seems very, very hard for many, many people to put it into practice in their life. So with everything that's going on in the world today, everything that's going on around us, it's imperative that we try to practice this code as best as we can. So, what is this Jesus Code for living? Well, it's found throughout the Synoptic Gospels and, of course, the book of John. The writers tried to do their best recording the teachings and the works of Jesus as they best remembered them. But one stands out as the basic foundation for the Jesus Code for living that he gave us to do. And it is basically this, and this is the acronym for the code. It is Consciousness of Divine Expression, CODE, the Consciousness of Divine Expression. And so we're going to look at that. But first, let us be reminded, of course, of the first chapter of the Old Testament that states, of course, we were made in the image and likeness of God. And therefore, we have been encoded, if you will, with spiritual DNA. In fact, it's been stamped on our souls. Then other writers came along later to tell us that the people to express their divine expression, for they were the hands and feet of God. As the psalmist wrote of God, telling them that they needed to take care of others, be watchful of others, and to help them and look after them in any way that they can, because after all, God said, hey, I'm telling you now, you are God's. You are my children of the Most High. So go and help others as I have helped you. Well, when Jesus came on the scene, he was admonished by the religious leaders of his day for teaching people on how to express their divine potential. So he stood up to them and said, Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods? Well, that stopped them in their tracks for a while. From the Old Testament to the New Testament, this fact remained the same. We, being made in the image and likeness of God, we have the ability and right to practice living the consciousness of divine expression, because we have God's spiritual DNA imprinted on our souls. That is what we are here to do. Now, Jesus shared his code of living and expressing divine potential everywhere that he went. He never tried to hide it, and was very clear about how he would express it. Then he told us that we were to do so as well. The writer of John tells of Jesus teaching the people, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me, of course, will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. The light of life. And this is something for us to remember. For the writer of Matthew has Jesus telling the people, saying, You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle, then put a bushel over it, but they put it on a stand to benefit all. So let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Again, Jesus always pointing the way that it is our responsibility to share our light, to see the good works that we are here to do in the name of our Father, because we are God's beloved children. We are those small little gods that have been created to be the hands and feet of God here. So what are we to do about that? Well, within these teachings, we are shown how to practice the Jesus Code. The consciousness of divine expression only requires that we follow the teachings of Jesus so that we can shine our light on some of the dark corners that we encounter by expressing what Jesus said by having the light of life. Again, the light of life. So what is this light of life that Jesus talked of? And how does it relate to the Jesus Code of living? Well, it's simple. The light Jesus speaks of is God telling us, his beloved sons and daughters, God of the Most High, that we must be about the business of being God's hands and feet. See, the light represents the consciousness of divine expression as love, L, inspiration, I, generating, G, healing, H, and T, transformation, making up the light that Jesus is talking about. In fact, Jesus was about love, compassion, and forgiveness, which in turn inspired others to do the same. He understood that love was necessary in order for Spirit to be able to inspire us to do the work of helping others, thus bringing about and generating the energy needed to heal and transform our body, our mind, and our souls. However, he always ran into the problem of the religious leaders and elders of his day who wanted to keep and practice the Mosaic law of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth justice. His teachings about expressing our light went against those religious codes. And that code for these particular elite religious leaders amounted to nothing more than convict, oppress, detain, and execute. Convict, oppress, detain, and execute those who violated any portion of the Mosaic law. And you know, we can see this activity taking place when the story of the woman caught in adultery was brought to Jesus because they were going to stone her to death under the Mosaic law. Now, did Jesus abide by this? Did he cater to them? Heck no. He stood up. Well, actually, he stood down and he wrote something in the sand, and then he asked, "Those who are without sin, cast the first stone." So basically, he's showing that his code of living the consciousness of divine expression is used to practice love, compassion, and forgiveness, not to allow yourself to be in bondage to the old Mosaic law of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And then we come to, of course, the life representing and practicing the consciousness of divine expression as living in full expression. You know, for Jesus, life was to be fully lived and expressed as God envisioned us to do. The late the Sig Paulson, author of Your Divine Potential, wrote, and I quote, "Man is the image of God. This does not mean that God is a Superman and each man is stamped out of the cosmic dough as a divine cookie cutter shaped like the Creator." I love that terminology. It seems, though, it means that man is the imaging end of the creative process. In other words, we have been given the ability to imagine and to create that which is God inspired. That is, that we are responsible for the individual's self expression and unfoldment of the world in which we want to live. So, with that in mind, remember that each of us has been given the spiritual edict to share our light with the world while living in full expression of our divine potential of the Jesus Code for living by practicing consciousness of divine expression. Well, friends, if you have questions at any time about the material that I share with you each Sunday, please feel free to contact me via Facebook Messenger or my email, revchuckunity@yahoo.com. And I want to thank all of you who subscribe and watch my YouTube channel, Unity of Kern County, as well as the posts that I put on Facebook each Sunday. So until the next time we meet, please remember to be good to yourself and others. God bless you, dear friends.